Welcome back, Twin Peaks fans, to part 2 of my Twin Peaks character ranking. Now, as you can see, we've made a significant start. However, there are still some fantastic characters that we are yet to rank. And the character up next is potentially, and in my eyes, is the best character in TV history, and that man is, of course, Dale Cooper. He is unquestionably, in my mind, the best character in Twin Peaks. His aura, his one-liners, his overall impact on the plot itself, the performance by Carl McLachlan is outstanding. And he is, a character that we're going to get onto a little bit later. And I will mention them for obvious reasons, but besides that character, that I'm pretty sure you know of already, he is the most important character in the entire show. He is the glue that holds everything together. He is the catalyst for the events that occur later on down the line. He's brave. He's courageous in the way that he handles certain situations. He is witty. And the dynamics he has with certain characters, whether that be Audrey, whether that be Harry Truman, are priceless. He has a fascination with the wonderful, minute details of life, but he has a serious side and invented interest in the evils of the world and stopping these evils from taking over and forming something even worse, like the way he dealt with the situation in the Black Lodge. And make of that what you will. He's a character who is a jack of all trades. He has inner harmony. He's an inspiration to others. He has an effortless aura about him where he just conducts himself in such a professional and tidy and astute way. But when he needs to be, he is also serious and also dedicated and willing to solve certain situations. I mean, there are countless scenes that you can mention. For example, the way he cradles Leland as Leland slowly dies, or like I referenced before, the way he dealt with entering the Black Lodge, just went in head first. Even if he did feel that strong sense of fear, he still went in to the unknown, into that abyss, to hopefully find Annie and bring her back into the real world. There's many iconic lines, like I referenced earlier. Damn fine cup of coffee. Every day, once a day, give yourself a present. A place both wonderful and strange. I mean, there are plenty. He is so consistently brilliant. So well written by Mark Frost. Obviously, David Lynch has such huge contributions, but what a wonderful, wonderful character, and by far my favourite character in TV history. And that's why I've spent so long essentially giving him a testimonial. But without a doubt, at the end of this ranking, whether it's this part 2, or if there's a part 3, depending on how much I elaborate, I guarantee he will be number one because there is no one else that comes close to him. He is untouchable. Now, onto another FBI agent, Denise Bryson. Now, Denise, I think she goes to the top of the good tier. Is it Denise or Blackie? You know what, I will put Denise in the middle ground. Denise, obviously previously known as Dennis Bryson, transitioned and she enters the world of Twin Peaks in season 2, played by David Duchovny, of course made famous by the X-Files, and then would go on to have a very successful career. But she's one damn good character. Similar to Dale Cooper, has an aura of confidence about her and is very capable, very competent. In the same way Dale Cooper is. It's just two extremely competent characters. And in a wider context, quite a revolutionary character at the time, because I can't think of a transgender character in a TV show prior to Twin Peaks. So at the time, incredibly unique and incredibly revolutionary. And her qualities as a character and David Duchovny's performance are some of the highlights of season 2, which is incredibly inconsistent. Once you get past episode 9, it does become incredibly inconsistent. There are parts that I do enjoy, but Denise Bryson is one of those shining lights, and rightfully so belongs in the good tier. Dr. Hayward, always a tricky character for me to rank. I will put Dr. Hayward just below Denise Bryson. Obviously a very solid character, not in the sense of the overall ranking, but as a character, very dependable, very solid, very reliable, typical family man, cares about the safety and education of his daughters, cares about the well-being of his wife, who of course is paralysed from the waist down, has a vented interest in the Laura Palmer case, seeing as he's the father of Laura Palmer's best friend, Donna Hayward. And he's just one of the golden oldies of the Twin Peaks crowd. There's a few, and he's just a very solid, dependable, likable character. He doesn't do anything overtly dramatic apart from shove Ben Horn into the fireplace in the series 2 finale, but I like him. He's very dependable, like I said. He's very solid, very dependable, very likable, very typical character that you would see in a show in the Pacific Northwest, or you would see in a white picket fence type scenario. But I do like Dr. Hayward, and he firmly belongs in the good tier. And he may rise above Denise Bryson, he may rise above Blackie, we'll have to see. Now, on to Donna Hayward. Doc Hayward's daughter. I'm going to place Donna above Blackie. I'm going to put her at the top of the good tier for now. Obviously a vital character in the plot. Laura Palmer's best friend is the opposite in a way to Laura, as she's the quintessential good girl, I suppose, in this type of situation, like the girl next door type character to Laura Palmer's rebel, I suppose, in that sense. And and her good heart is displayed through her actions. Has a great dynamic with James Hurley. I know a lot of fans might not quite take to James Hurley and Donna. I can see why. I'm personally a fan of both. I think they're both good characters. As an aside, her relationship with Harold is fascinating, and the dynamic involved within that. Of course, you see a different side of Donna's character in Fire Walk with Me, although that character is played by a completely different actress, so I won't elaborate too much. I'm focusing more on the season 1 and 2 version of Donna. But yeah, quite a brave soul, academic, girl next door type character, who I have plenty of time for. Obviously, her jealousy is displayed at certain points in season 2 when James and Maddie become closer. And yeah, she's like her father. She's very likeable, very white picket fence. A solid, dependable character. Yeah, I think she's firmly in the good tier and right up there as one of the more solid characters in the good tier. Now, 3 out of 3 of the Hayward family. Mrs. Hayward. Yes, this is controversial. I've put her in the good tier. I know a lot of people would put her in 50-50 because they wouldn't see her as the most important character, but I like her. She has a very similar aura to her husband. Very reliable, very dependable, decent person. Always a shoulder for Donna to cry on in certain situations. Fairly courageous. I see her as a very good character. She doesn't have this overarching implication on the rest of the show, but in the scenes where she's involved and the episodes in which she's involved in, yeah, she's a solid character. I mean, she's not going to feature any higher, I don't think, because she doesn't have any complexity. But I like her. She's an enjoyable character to watch because I feel the actress did a very good job, and she's just a very likeable character. Now, we get another creme de la creme character. One of my personal favourite characters, the man from another place. I'm going to rank him just ahead of Bob for now. Although we will get to a conclusive ranking once I finish the ranking. For me, the man from another place is a demonstration of that abstract vision that Lynch had for the show. And I love his introduction in season 1, episode 2. Let's rock. That gum you like is going to come back in style. Everything about the man from another place demonstrates the abstract, quirky side of Twin Peaks that I think 98% of fans adore, including myself. Obviously, lives within the Black Lodge, one of the more fascinating locations, one of the more diverse locations within Twin Peaks. Equal parts good and bad, a proper anti-hero in that sense. He will guide you along the way, but he's also got the knife behind the back ready to stab you when he wants to. Very clever character. Very unique. There aren't any other characters within TV that have the same feel as the man from another place. Obviously, previously, Mike's arm. I just love the way he toys with people in the Black Lodge and the cryptic messages that he holds for certain characters. I just think he is one of the most fascinating characters in TV because he is so unique that I just cannot think of anyone else in TV that's quite like him, any other character. So that's why he belongs in creme de la creme. And it's going to be fascinating when we get to the end of this tier ranking to see where he is. I think what I'll do is I'll do them in half an hour installments. I'll see when it gets to the half an hour point where we are. You know, this might take 3 or 4 pots. I don't know, but it will be fascinating to see where he ranks in the pantheon of the finest Twin Peaks characters, because I personally love everything about him. You know, the costume, the idiosyncratic actions. I just think he's a brilliant character. Another great character, Big Ed Hurley. I would have Big Ed above essentially every character bar Albert in the great tiers at the moment. He's very likeable. I love his relationship with Norma. High school sweethearts that weren't to be. And the fact he stayed loyal to Nadine for so long, stood by her through the patent attorneys and the tricky moments and the ridiculous story in season 2, the storyline where Nadine starts to hallucinate that she's in high school and she develops superhuman strength. Another example of how utterly crazy season 2 of Twin Peaks is. But Ed, he's just one of those solid, dependable characters. And that's unsurprising in a town like Twin Peaks to have so many solid, dependable characters, because it's so close-knit. You become part of a wider family in that sense. Everyone knows everyone, and everyone is fairly salt of the earth and helpful. I love his undercover persona when Dale, Cooper, and Big Ed go up to One-Eyed Jack's to try and lure Jacques Renault, or they try and lure what they call the trout onto the hook, try and get him arrested so they can question him. I love the way he plays off Blackie, and their dynamic is very flirtatious. It shows you that he is a character who is very capable. He's not just a one-dimensional, strong, silent gas owner, dependable gas station owner, shall I say. He's more than just that. He is quite crafty when he needs to be, and is a firm, staunch member of the Bookhouse Boys as well. So yeah, really do like Big Ed Hurley, and one of those characters that I just enjoy the presence of. Now we do get to the Dear Oh Dear tier once more, with Evelyn, who is part of possibly the most hated storyline in all of Twin Peaks throughout any era. The dynamic between Evelyn and James Hurley, I don't understand what Mark Frost was trying to achieve there. I do understand that he's yet again he's clutching at thin straws, because Twin Peaks relies upon that mystery regarding Laura Palmer, either Laura Palmer or the Black Lodge. You need that mystery for it to succeed, and at that point in time, it didn't necessarily have that. So Mark Frost was at a loss as to what the hell to do with the show. Now, Evelyn, I'm not going to talk about Evelyn because she is so unimportant in the grand scheme of things, but I wouldn't say I hate her as much as some Twin Peaks fans hate her. I think she is, in my opinion, she's fairly close to 50-50, because I don't think she is a huge problem. I don't think the actress, or shall I say the actor, of Evelyn is that bad. I just think the storyline is very cringy, completely filler and ridiculous, and I don't think it helped Evelyn in any way. And I think if you wrote Evelyn into a different storyline, you might actually like her. She might even reach the 50, the top of the 50-50 tier around the John Justice Wheeler stage, or the John Justice Wheeler area of that tier. She's not awful. as a character. It's just the storyline that she's placed in is just dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Anyway, on to a very solid character, Mike. Mike will go in between Big Ed and Albert for now. Obviously an integral part of the plot in Fire Walk with Me, in Twin Peaks Season 1 and 2. The protagonist to Bob's antagonist. They were killing partners essentially before Mike decided to change his ways and cut off his arm, and then obviously the arm metamorphs into the wonderful lad that is Man from Another Place, and it takes a while for Mike to come out. Oh, sorry, it takes a while for Mike to reveal himself. Obviously, he's drugged up, and that's why. Oh, his host is drugged up, and that is why it takes so long for Mike to be revealed. But once he is revealed, a fascinating character. Like I referenced earlier when I was talking about Bob. He's Bob, eager for fun, he wears a smile every while he runs, has these particular lines that he demonstrates, or lines that he uses during his key moments on screen. And another example would be one of the most iconic lines from Twin Peaks, which is part of the international version of the pilot. I know it's not a very popular version, but I think Mike plays a very significant role in it, and I like the scenes that Mike's part of in the international version. Through the darkness of future past, a magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds, Fire Walk with Me. Just a mystical, interesting character who's bad turned good, which is it's always a fascinating storyline, because don't you just love when a villain changes their ways and they redeem themselves in the same way that Mike does in Twin Peaks, and the way he vows to catch Bob and stop him, however hard that may be. Just a great character. I love that scene in the Timber Falls motel where Cooper and Truman are questioning him. And Cooper says, "Well, what tattoo did you have?" And he says, "Oh, what was your tattoo? We can check." And he says, "Oh, it was Mama." It's just ridiculous. But just a phenomenal character. Another great character. Another character who can easily get to creme de la creme, but I'm going to put it at the very top of the great tier, sorry. The Giant. You will notice, with a lot of my rankings, I tend to admire the more mystical characters out of anyone. Obviously, you have some exceptions. You have Ben Horn, you have Bobby Briggs, you have Major Briggs. I love the Man from Another Place. I think Bob's a brilliant character. I love the Giant. I gravitate towards his characters because I love that mystical side of Twin Peaks. I love the mystical episodes where the Black Lodge is used, where the supernatural is really emphasised. You will see, if I ever do an episode ranking, involving Lonely Souls, Arbitrary Law, The Pilot, Zen, Skill to Catch a Killer, all these great episodes, and the Series 2 finale as well, you will see that I do tend to lean towards that. So, yes, Albert may be a more fleshed out character, but for me, a lot of characters, it's not always what they say, it's their aura, and for me, the Giant has this fantastic aura about him. Appears during key moments to deliver cryptic messages, plays a key part in Lonely Souls. He's the one who communicates to Cooper that Maddie's been killed, or that something has happened. Not necessarily that she's been killed, but something has happened. Obviously, his human form is the waiter, who I'm sure will appear a bit later on, but might not be as fleshed out as the Man from Another Place or Bob, but he plays a key role. He has this like I said, he has this feeling, this persona, this aura that I think is fantastic. And who knows, he might make creme de la creme. I think I'm going to keep creme de la creme to about 9 or 10 characters, because I think if you go beyond that, you're making the tier redundant, because how many characters are creme de la creme? How many characters should be at the very top of the list before you're degrading its purpose? It's supposed to be quite a finite tier, because these are the best of the best, and you can't have tons and tons of characters up there. But for me, the Giant, he's a contender. Like Albert would be, like Mike would be. These are contenders. Another contender, Gordon Cole. Gordon Cole would probably rank just behind the Giant. I know some fans aren't huge fans of Gordon, but I really like him. Bit of a ridiculous character, but yet again has some iconic lines. And when he starts screaming at a bonsai tree, when he's in the diner, speaking to Shelley, who he is completely infatuated by. The fact is David Lynch, and how can you not love David Lynch? He is the auteur of the avant-garde. How can you not love this guy? But yeah, Gordon Cole would be right up there for me. I love his overall influence on the plot. I love the fact that he was incorporated into the plot. You know, David Lynch Frost must have sat down and said, "Look, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this TV show that me and you have created, and I'm going to write myself, or you write me a character." And then he just appears. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it. Gordon Cole, right up there. Just a really well written and well developed character, part of the more mysterious side of Twin Peaks. The Blue Rose case, for example, in Far Walk with Me. He probably knows more than he lets on. And I think we'll have time for one more character before I end part 2. I think this will be part 3. There will be 3 or 4 parts to this, judging from the amount of characters involved. But the final character that I will be ranking is Hank Jennings. Now, Hank Jennings, do I like him more than Ed? He gets into the great tier, but do I like him more than Ed? Do I like him more than Mike? I think, for now, Hank Jennings will rank just above Ed. Now, that's actually, you know what? Oh, Catherine Martell. Alright, he will, I have a feeling he will climb. I like Hank Jennings because he has, like a lot of these characters, I keep mentioning it, it's a bit of a motif now, but complexity. It's quite a nice, warm persona. But underneath that warm persona, very different to a guy like Leo Johnson, who's just seen as this flat-out, flat-track bully. Hank is snidey and sly behind this veneer of happiness and positivity and cheekiness, and that's why I like him, because he has multiple layers. Plays an integral part of the plot because obviously he killed off Andrew Packard, in inverted commas, in season 1. Gets released, becomes this, almost has this like philosophical experience during prison, and some of his dialogue is made interesting because of that. I remember there's a scene that he shares with Josie when he collects the 90 grand, and he says, essentially along the lines like, how much is 90 grand worth in terms of time? Like, how much of my time is that? Something along those lines, like, how much time do we have? He is the probably the hitman, I guess, of the Twin Peaks world. Leo tries to be, but Hank is just more coordinated because he's smarter. He thinks more than Leo. Leo's like a bull charging at a matador, whereas Hank is like a viper, ready to strike. And that's demonstrated through the way he absolutely annihilates Leo, whether that's with a gunshot or with his bare fists. And for me, I like the fact that Hank has plays these two characters essentially. He's trying to win Norma back in a romantic sense, whilst also trying to retain this bad boy image that he's cultivated for himself within Twin Peaks. And that's why he is a great character, because he has these two lives essentially running parallel to each other. He's trying to be seen as a stable member of society, especially for his parole officer, and to try and win Norma back, whilst also doing people's dirty work for them. And that's why I think he belongs in the great tier for now between Catherine and between Andy. I'm going to leave it for there for part 2. I know this is taking a while, but it will take a while because Twin Peaks characters have so much to them in terms of breadth and depth. You can't just summarize them in one episode or one video. It takes a while. And that's why stay tuned for part 3 when I continue to rank these wonderful characters from creme de la creme all the way down to dear oh dear. And I can't wait for part 3. It's been phenomenal so far, being able to analyse these characters and the influence they have on the overall TV show. And in some parts, Fire Walk with me as well. But I look forward to part 3 and I will see you then.